Are we on? Hello. Hello, viewers. Welcome to the Just Enough Trope News Hour. I'm your host, Caliban, joined as always by my co-host.
Hi, I'm Mikan Hana.
We're here to bring you all the news that's fit to cast in the world of nerdy entertainment every Sunday night at 7 p.m. or 6 p.m. on Twitch. 6 p.m. Central.
Yeah.
The spookiest time of day. Happy Halloween, everybody. We're celebrating by not going to see Houseu at the local art house cinema.
We'll do that later. Okay?
We're doing so bad.
I know. We'll do it. I promise we'll do it.
We're going to end up seeing it instead probably November 1st, which is kind of like singing Christmas carols on December 26th.
I agree. I know.
But
I get it.
It is what it is.
Yep.
It is what it is.
Yes.
How are you? How is you?
I'm doing all right. Yeah. How is you?
Oh, that's it? Okay. I'm doing fine too.
I don't know. I excited to be here, I guess. This
Yeah.
is like only our second time doing it, so it feels very brand new, still getting the feel of it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you know, it gets easier as you go.
How? Okay, because of your Twitch streams, is that your experience? It gets easier?
In my experience.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Does it get easier for you?
I don't know.
No,
This is like I said.
Brand
This is
new.
all new.
Every night.
On 51st dates. Okay?
Every night's opening night for you.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
good. That'll bring a freshness to this. Hopefully.
Bring something.
And we've got a lot of fresh news to talk about on the show tonight.
Oh,
Hit
good.
that news theme. It's not much of it. It doesn't react quickly. So anyway,
okay. All
That's
right.
the news theme.
All right.
And we've got stories for you from the world of pop culture. And yikes, there was a lot of news this week.
Yeah. Big week.
And we'll be talking about some of it. We'll be talking with people in the chat as well. Already we've got some people in here.
Awesome. Hello.
Ribbon Quest is saying it's like Halloween candy, November 1st. That's when the discounts start, right?
That is true.
Yeah.
That is a valid point. Maybe we should get some Halloween candy before we see Hausu and eat it, sneak it into the theater. And, yeah.
There should be, if there isn't, there should be a, or maybe there's too much going on. I don't know. Does it say something about Rocky Horror that you feel the need to like throw cards and yell at the screen? Is it boring? Because Hausu.
Oh no, I don't think it's boring.
You could develop a game for Hausu.
You could.
You would be distracting from all the things that are going on the screen.
That's true. There are no really lulls in what's happening in Hausu.
No.
Like it's just constant.
Yeah.
And in a good way. And by the way, I guess to everybody who's watching, if you haven't seen Hausu, do yourself a favor and watch it.
Yeah, we've talked about it.
I know, but it's so good.
I don't know where it. You could probably get it on like Mubi.
I can't remember what we watched it on.
Is it Criterion?
It maybe is Criterion. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. Ooh, fancy.
Ooh. I bet I'm sure it's in the closet.
In the where the Criterion collection.
Yeah, when they put people in the closet.
Does anybody pick it? I would pick it.
Somebody must have.
Did David Lynch pick it? That's what I need to know.
Oh no, no, that's too on the nose.
No, really?
Well, plus he doesn't want to give away. I mean, you
inspiration.
And I agree. Like he's clearly inspired by that movie. Anyway, let's talk about a source of inspiration for a lot of people. First off, I wanted to make sure that we talked about the fact that, unfortunately, rock and roll legend Jerry Lee Lewis has passed away at the age of 87. The new hotness now is to have people say that you're dead, right? And then your publicist goes, no, fine. And then 48 hours later, no, actually dead. Yeah, so, yeah.
That shouldn't be the new hotness. I don't like it. It's not... how is that getting out? Like, maybe it should just be... It shouldn't even be like they're not doing well, because you never know what's going to happen.
I've never thought about it. Do you think that it is a gun jump?
It might be a gun jump, but I want to know. But I want to know, like, who is putting it out there?
Publicist, family member, something like that.
Yeah. I think somebody is. Yeah, I think that's what it is.
It's possible. Jerry Lee Lewis, of course, huge musical icon. He, a whole lot of shaking going on. Great Balls of Fire,
Goodness
Breathless.
Gracious, Great Balls of Fire.
Yeah, very influential in the sort of the rock boom in the 50s. Kind of got canceled, and rightfully so. You don't know.
I don't know about that.
Okay. He married his cousin, his cousin.
Okay.
Like the child of his brother or sister, I can't remember.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, in the late 50s, and was essentially kind of drummed out of the industry at that time. And that's that's good.
Okay.
We don't want to.
Yeah.
We'll talk about some cancellations later.
Not great.
That aren't quite the same, but and so he still kind of was around, but not making the appearances, not getting on TV. And he later found success in the world of country.
Interesting.
He was a cousin. Speaking of cousins, he was a cousin of Jimmy Swaggart, the televangelist.
Oh gosh. Okay.
So yeah, and also his nickname was the Killer. I never, as far as I know, killed anybody. Did shoot his bassist in the chest accidentally once.
What?
I think he was already called the Killer before that. So
how do you do that accidentally?
He was trying to shoot a bottle and it ricocheted and hit his bassist
in the chest. So my gosh.
I want to go to the hospital.
Was the bassist okay?
Oh yeah, he was all right.
He was lucky. Didn't puncture a lung or something. My goodness.
Yeah, well, he didn't sing. He was a backup singer. We got a problem.
Yeah, right.
And then he was arrested in, I think, 1976 at the gates of Graceland because he apparently was trying to kill Elvis. Now, that's what they said when they arrested him.
What?
In his autobiography, which was released, I don't know, last decade, about 10 years ago, he said, no, yes, I was drunk. He crashed his car into the gates of Graceland. Apparently, he and Elvis had been trying to get a hold of each other for a long time.
Oh, no.
And probably because Elvis was worried about him. And Elvis called him, and he got the message that he wanted him to come over. So he was drinking at a bar, and someone gave him a gun. Because that's what happens. Sometimes somebody just gives you a gun, and you've got the gun. And so he drove.
This is a bizarre story.
Crashed his car.
I don't know what to believe.
Into the front gates.
Oh my gosh.
Speaking of cousins, Elvis's cousin was doing security at the front and is like, no, we're calling the cops.
Yeah, fair call.
So,
yeah.
Anyway,
was he called the killer before that?
Yep, still called the killer.
I don't get why he's called the killer.
I think it's because he plays the piano so hard.
So he kills it.
Yeah.
The music.
Yeah, he kills it.
Okay.
He's like the white Little Richard.
Did the killers take their name after him or something?
God, I hope not.
I hope not too.
They don't sound like him at all.
No, they don't. Not at all.
All right. So
okay.
Anyway,
just a question.
There is, I don't know if it's out yet because I lost track of it, but Ethan Coen of the Coens,
sure,
produced and directed a documentary about his life called Trouble in Mind.
Okay.
Which may or may not be out right now. I'm not sure, but if you want to know more about him, you can check that out.
That sounds like an interesting movie because I mean I know he is canceled. I feel like it was right that he was canceled.
He's not a great guy.
But I just want to say, sounds like an interesting person.
We're honoring him as like a pioneering artist.
A musician.
But yes, personal demons. Not a great guy. If you want the other side of the story from his child bride, Myra Gale Brown, she wrote an autobiography herself.
Really?
Yes. In the wake of the, she wrote an autobiography that was made into Great Balls of Fire, the Dennis Quaid movie.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
But they kind of whitewashed it. So she wrote another book after that. I can't remember what that's called. But so yeah, if you want her side of the story, it's there too. Or what really happened.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, R.I.P. to the killer.
Yes, R.I.P. to the killer, who was not killed by anybody except old age or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was, he lived that hard rock and roll lifestyle.
Yeah, right.
His liver gave him the name, the killer. Let's talk about a story that I don't want to count as an official story, but we have to address it, and that is the taking over of Twitter officially now by new owner and nominal CEO Elon Musk.
Yep. Really not happy about this.
Is it time to leave Twitter?
I don't know because first of all, for those who don't know, my account is still suspended. So because
now you can get us unsuspended.
Because Elon's Donald like Trump, everybody's coming back
Marjorie
now.
Taylor Greene, all the same.
Oh my God.
Coming back.
I don't want to be all the same, and I don't want to be in that group of people because they're terrible.
Yeah, it's unfair. But in the light of all this, maybe this could be good for you.
Maybe.
Do we leave Twitter? Is this when we go?
I think it's a really hard call because I do not want to support anything that Elon Musk does because I think he is a horrific human being. Whoa. And I do not believe anything that comes out of his mouth. When we first heard about this like 6 months ago, I was terrified because I honestly don't know what he's going to do with Twitter. And he says, I'm doing this because I support humanity and I'm a humanitarian and I believe in freedom of speech and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, no, you are just full of BS. You didn't like being censured and because of the horrible things you were saying on Twitter. And that's why you have more money than God. So you were like, I'm going to just buy it. And I was so excited with the prospect of him backing out of this deal. But that didn't happen because they were going to sue him.
Can't back out.
No, you can't back out. And then he fires all the bigwigs at Twitter. That's the first thing he does.
Yeah. Well, apparently he asked department heads for lists of people that they could fire just across the company prior to his taking over.
Really?
And a lot of people think that it's because November 1st is when the stock payoffs happen. So if they get rid of people before then they can, hold back on dividends that some people are supposed to get.
Well, I don't know that. Let me put it this way. If I left Twitter, my account is suspended anyways. I barely tweet. I don't think that would send a big enough message to Elon.
It's like voting.
Yeah.
Right? What's one vote?
Right.
Yeah, your vote doesn't matter.
Right. That's how I feel. I mean, if a bunch of us left.
I don't think she believes that.
No, I mean, I don't. I'd go vote. Voting is important. Speaking of, elections are coming up.
Ass.
That's right. It's so cool, guys. Go do it. But I feel like if we somehow organize a big group of people that left Twitter, then maybe I'm kind of scared to see how Twitter is going to change and what he's going to do with it. like, it might be that it becomes an app that I just don't want to be a part of anymore.
Well, I think instances of like racial epithets and stuff are up like 500%.
Of course they are.
And I mean, like,
do you want to be in that toxic environment?
Well, the whole thing is toxic.
I know.
But I mean, people, racists are going to racist.
I know they are.
And they feel like they can do it now with him taking over.
Because freedom of speech. That's not freedom of speech.
The content moderation team can only take care of so much. They can only do so much. So it's like, this is a totally different thing. But it's like, if 50 people go to a CVS, they all go in and grab bags of Cheetos, you can't stop 50 people from doing that. So if like 500 people all, tweet the N-word, it doesn't mean that it's lawless. It means that the content team is busy trying to figure out if you should have an account still, and they can't take care of it all. So going forward, we will see what happens with it. Mm-hmm. I know that he has said that he wants like a panel, a content moderation panel. I don't know if he knows the structure of his own company. Like, there are entire offices dedicated to filtering the content. So
right,
but he's going to have a panel that decides who gets to stay.
Who he's going to handpick, probably.
Go. I don't know who made those. I'm assuming that, like, former CEO Jack Dorsey probably had the last say in terms of who stays and who goes. In the old days, the thing is that it isn't like, I mean, speech is. We all judge speech, right?
Oh,
we have
yeah,
to judge
100%.
It to be, yes, there are laws against hate speech, but we all have to. It's like pornography, aka through the vis-a-vis the courts, Supreme Court. I know it when I see it.
Yeah, right.
And so I don't know. We didn't want to talk about this.
No, but it's like we can't not talk about it because it's the big freaking Elon-shaped elephant in the room, and like, he's a weird-looking dude. He is. So I know I can make fun of him because he's a horrible person.
No elephants in South Africa, but
okay.
He's the weird-looking robot.
Yeah, right. Because there's all those robots in South Africa.
They call stoplights robots in South Africa. I don't know.
It's weird.
It's a weird place.
Yeah.
Welcome to our South African listeners. So let's talk about another horrible person.
Okay, let's do it.
Here's a great story. So this is a follow-up to an original story that we had talked about previously.
All right.
And that story is that the actress who was formerly the voice of Bayonetta,
yes,
and went to Twitter to complain specifically about the pay that she was offered, has now asked fans to boycott Bayonetta 3 and donate the money to an anti-abortion group.
Boo! Hiss!
Yeah.
No, I don't like anti-abortion crap. So
this is.
Do we uncancel Bayonetta because of this? I'm very confused as what we should do as a political statement. I'm definitely not donating money to anti-abortion groups. I can tell you that much.
Well, I don't.
Maybe I would donate money to pro-abortion groups because, like, Planned Parenthood.
I'm going to go down to Planned Parenthood in my skin-tight leather bodysuit with my gun shoes.
Yeah. And
I'm going to say, hey, I support you. Hey, where what are you doing?
Where are you going?
Take me away.
No.
If you're at Planned Parenthood, the people in the reflective vests, they're the good guys.
Okay.
The definitely 75-year-old guy outside in the fishing cap with the huge stack of green flyers, that's the bad guy.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Okay. Yeah.
Sometimes I drive by Planned Parenthood and I'm like, who do I flip off again? It's the people who are being safe with the tabards on.
Yeah.
Good guys.
Yeah, right.
Anyway.
Exactly.
This is Helena Taylor. She had reported, weeks ago we reported on this.
Yes.
That she was underpaid. She was asked, she was given $4,000, she said.
For the entire thing.
It turns out that the $4,000 was for a cameo role after she had already turned down the actual offer, which was $4,000 per session. And there probably would have been about 3 or 4 sessions, so it would have been about 15,000 total.
Well, I wonder.
Now, I would argue that 15,000 total is not enough.
Yeah,
she's underpaid. Everybody in Jennifer Hale she's not going to tell anybody what she's getting at this point.
Oh no.
But she's definitely probably getting underpaid. This has brought our attention to, I think, an important issue in this.
I would agree with that.
But this is not. This is not our hero who we're going to follow over this issue.
We're like, yay, we support you. What? Wait. What?
Yeah. So she went to the internet, to Twitter, and to Instagram to try to make a stink about this. And now she said, I'm not going to even bother. It's like a billboard company. Like when you drive and you see the billboards that are like, ooh, I can do complex math operations at 4 weeks or whatever. Like
my gosh.
It's those guys and a couple other places that are kind of questionable. So, you know,
how are other people reacting to this? I'm just curious.
How are people reacting to a woman who had the temerity to say something bad about video games? Especially a video game where a lady's butt is out the entire time. How do you think that they're responding to
I know how they responded to her complaining about her pay, but I want to know
this is one of those,
how they're responding to her saying give the money to anti-abortion groups.
I don't think that the signal is lost completely in the noise at this point.
Okay, I mean that's fair.
It is impossible to find, except on the Just Enough Trope News show, fair and balanced coverage of this issue, and everybody is calling her, you know, everything there
all
is
the
that
names
you can call her that you can do it now on Twitter thanks to Elon. That's good, just in time.
Yeah.
And so the problem is that she is a very problematic individual who is also
that's fair.
A victim of the
Correct.
industry.
Yeah.
So maybe we just go, all right. And then as far as playing the game, I guess it's up to you. And we'll just move on from there, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think it's good that she brought attention to the fact that maybe a lot of voice actors in video games are underpaid. I'm kind of curious. I mean, we'll never know at this point, but like, what was she paid for the previous games, and was it the same, or are they undercutting what she was paid previously and hoping that she would just go for it?
She could tell us, but you know we can't trust her now. So unless we see like a tax return, which at this point
I'm not asking for that.
Deep
no, I don't need proof. You know, like hardcore proof. I don't want to see that.
Let's talk about another story that, of course, I'm sure is finding a lot of fair and balanced, sober discussion.
Here we go.
And that is the fact that Henry Cavill is leaving The Witcher show for the fourth season. He's being replaced by a guy named Liam Hemsworth.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know him. Haven't heard of him.
Yeah, right.
But he's no
Hunger
Henry
Games.
Cavill.
No, he's not Henry Cavill.
And I say that not liking The Witcher show or Henry Cavill.
Yeah, I know. I'm not a fan.
I don't... unless you have something specific to say, I'm going to activate rant on this one.
Go for it.
This is where I
might say something later, but
on my Steam Deck, which is in the mail still, and then the rant song begins, and that is the fact that people don't.
What?
This is a bad show, but all Netflix shows are bad.
And here we go.
Sorry to the fans who have enjoyed their time watching some Netflix shows. But
I have. Guilty as charged.
I think that Netflix shows are just not, they're generally not great. I think they're lower quality. I feel like they all look the same visually. I feel like they're generally like written weekly and
Sandman looked different because they
weekly.
Squashed it.
Well, it certainly did look different. But it's all gray and washed out. Like all their shows, the same thing with The Witcher. Like if you play The Witcher game, it's set in like, a Renfest universe. It's not like historically accurate, but it's like, it's so colorful, and Geralt wears like stripes, blue and white stripes sometimes, and it's like it has this feeling of this like fun world. And the TV show is like it's all gray, black.
It's
gray,
dismal. Yeah.
Mist.
Yeah.
And that's just like that's Hollywood 10 years ago. They're behind visually. They're not making. They're making strong choices in terms of like the way that they change the source material. A lot of people are mad, and you have to be careful when you listen to people who are mad about something like The Witcher, because they're mad that Yennefer's like not white or something like that, and it's like we
great.
Just turn the volume down on those guys. We don't care. But I just I watched the first couple episodes and I'm like, this isn't for me. I don't think this is very good.
I mean, it didn't hook me either, so I just was like, I'm not gonna spend time on it.
Yeah. And
I have watched shows where I'm like, this is bad, and I know it's bad, but it's entertaining.
You watch these fanboys who, which we're trying to get as listeners and watchers, but you watch these fanboys like go, it's great, this guy, he loves Warhammer. Oh, Henry Cavill,
right?
I'm straight, but if I wasn't,
oh my god.
But like also like I don't like the show though, and so which is it? And so now this gives them an opportunity to say, well, I never liked, and I can stop hate watching the show because I don't care about Liam Hemsworth. Meanwhile, Liam Hemsworth is
Single tier. Yeah, right.
Which he's used to, being the... Is he the least famous, second most famous Hemsworth brother?
I don't remember the order, honestly.
So nobody's happy about this.
Yeah.
And, I don't know what to tell you. I wish that your show could have been licensed by a company who's taking more care with the adaptation. But it's interesting. Somebody, Ribbon Quest here has mentioned in the chat that Netflix makes shows that are mediocre and then cancel them within 3 seasons.
That's fairly accurate.
And that is totally accurate.
Yeah.
Except we're at the go or no go point for season 3, right? It hasn't come out yet, but it will star Henry Cavill, and then season 4 will be Liam Hemsworth.
So they've already greenlit season 4.
This is where you would go.
Star.
Well, we did it, right?
Right.
Good job, everybody. Good effort. The star's leaving. We move on, but they believe in this property enough that they want to let it rest on Liam Hemsworth's wooden carved shoulders.
Oh my gosh.
Is it not an unattractive guy?
No, none of, okay. All the Hemsworth brothers are good looking. Okay.
Somewhere Luke's like, yes. I see.
But yeah,
Westworld season 4.
Yeah, right, exactly. Oh my gosh, I think he's the least famous of the 3 of them.
Probably.
Yeah.
He's on HBO though.
Yeah. Well, there is that in a small role.
Liam's on Netflix.
I know.
So.
HBO's more prestige.
I want to be at the Thanksgiving table with those guys.
All right. Well, maybe they argue about it, and and Chris just is like laying back, like, I'm gonna let these guys go at it because like I don't have a bone to pick in this fight. I know I win. So
does anybody want to do Star Trek? I got a little extra.
Yeah, right. You can step in for me as a lesser Hemsworth brother.
Speaking of Star Trek and Star Trek 4 and the Hemsworth involvement in Star Trek 4, recently on my show Enterprising Individuals, we talked about Star Trek 4. Where is it? And maybe if it won't come to us, we have to go to it. And so my co-host on Backtracking, Gooey Fame, joined me, and we pitched Star Trek 4, basically. Mm-hmm. We sat down like a couple of writers, ginned up our idea for it, and it involves Hemsworth. And it involves some other interesting elements.
Interesting.
So check that out at enterprisingindividuals.com. Let's move on to another story. Let's move from the stale promontory of Netflix to the undiscovered country of Warner Brothers. Undiscovered as in nobody can figure out what's going on or what the hell they think they're doing, but they made a seemingly good decision recently. They recently made James Gunn the co-head of DC Studios.
Yeah, this was major news. Kind of surprising in a lot of ways. I know the articles that I read about it was like he'll still like direct some movies and stuff like that, but he's going to be for, I think it's like a 5-year contract or something like that, 4 or 5 years, he'll be exclusively DC, which, I mean, makes sense. You wouldn't want him working for somebody else if he's going to be the co-head of this. But it seems like a pretty good fit because he knows a lot about comics and he's very passionate about it, like Kevin Feige. So I think from that standpoint, it makes sense. And it's kind of like, why did it take him so long to figure this out? But
well, every fan is an expert.
Oh,
welcome to the Just Enough Trope News show. And people have said for years that they need, a Kevin Feige.
Yes, and I completely agree with that.
Because it's clear that they lack a central creative force.
Yes.
And I think that that's part of what this is. He'll be the co-head along with a guy named Peter Safran, who is a longtime producer at DC. So he's got a minder, he's got a babysitter, or a guy to sign the checks while he picks who to do. And he's already said, like, obviously Guardians of the Galaxy 3 hasn't come out yet.
Right.
He's already said, like...
Neither has the Christmas special, which we just had a first look at this past week.
Right. Let's come right back to that.
Okay.
But he's already said, like, there's no rivalry, like a friendly rivalry, sure. He said that he's already talked to, like, Kevin Feige, and he wants to, obviously do something similar, but it's not like...
they're going to copy it step by step.
This isn't going to be like WWF and WCW or something like that. They want to, just make good movies.
Well, and I think that's a good move.
Good movies featuring lots of classic music a main character who's like needs to grow up a little. He's got to grow up a little.
Oh my goodness.
And maybe there's a woman who teaches him that it's more important to be an adult than it is to. James Gunn has made the same movie 10 times.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, let's talk about the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. It comes out on November 25th of this year.
A whole month before Christmas.
How bad is this going to be? The big takeaway from it is it stars Kevin Bacon.
I know.
Because let's take a joke from the first movie and just beat it into the ground.
I know.
Did Gunn write this?
Fantastic question. I don't know the answer to that. I know he directed it, right? I'm not sure.
Guess so.
I'm not sure if he wrote it or not. It's gonna be another like special, like Werewolf by Night. So I don't know how long it's gonna be.
Probably about an hour.
Yeah, they're doing this weird thing where we're doing an hour special. It's not quite a movie, and I feel kind of weird about it. I don't know how to. I didn't really like Werewolf by Night. I thought about it more. I didn't really enjoy it.
Story's about, but
so I know.
Your displeasure has been logged.
Thank you.
Here's a question.
I'm not sure how I feel about it.
Well, let me coax a feeling out of you. Can I borrow a feeling? Why is it that the Avengers have like 3.5, 4, well, 2 movies at the end? So they've got like 5.5 movies, right? Mm-hmm. Counting Civil War. Why is it that the Avengers can start, I guess, in their own movies, have their own big movie, and then, yes, they have other movies, but they sort of, every time the Avengers come back, each one of those characters is in kind of a new place, has to figure out how they feel about where we are going forward.
Yeah.
Culminating in, you get your hammer, you go up there, you ask him. Like, everybody gets to do something.
Mm-hmm.
The Guardians just continue to show up and continue to be jokes or tell jokes.
Yeah.
And
they're all comedians.
Would they be more successful if that wasn't true? Do you know what I mean?
Possibly.
Like, also their story and saga was interrupted when, I don't know if anybody remembers that he was canceled, but he's back. So don't tell me you get canceled for good.
Yeah.
So would they be more interesting if they had their own things going on instead of just being, jokes? And they're just there for the jokes. Or
I think so.
Is that all that they're good for?
I mean,
because they showed up in the Avengers films, mostly the first one, Infinity War. Mm-hmm. They showed up to just be the backdrop or the sounding board for the hilarious Thor by Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
But I just don't. I find myself, for somebody who, like behind you, loved the first Guardians movie, thought the second one was okay, but like, okay, we did this already, didn't we?
Yeah.
And like the third one is, I'm just like, I think it's very telling that the guy has jumped ship to the other company, right?
Well, I mean, maybe being canceled by them has something to do with it.
You think that like we'd be getting a Guardians 4 if Marvel hadn't balked?
I don't know. Maybe, possibly, but I do think, I mean, I agree with you. Like the first Guardians movie is one of my favorite Marvel movies. Like, it's so good. I would watch it like at the drop of a hat. And the second one is just okay. So I don't know what to expect from the Christmas special or the third one. And the Christmas special looks really silly. Like, it's just, we're just joke machines. And I feel...
But like good joke machines?
I don't know. And I feel like in the first movie, the characters were more like realized and like more individualized than they were in like the second movie or other instances where we've seen them. Yeah. And like they had their own... I don't know. They just seemed to have like their own background and everything. And like Groot was like just amazing, like this selfless like creature that just like saves everybody, and then he becomes a little dancing baby. It's like the cutest thing ever.
Yeah. That's his new arc, dancing baby.
I know.
Somebody was paying attention because Grogu is just Groot.
Grogu is just Groot. And I love Grogu.
But I like Grogu more than I like Groot now.
Well, because Groot has kind of, I don't know, like, I like teenage Groot because he's kind of ridiculous and he's like, meh, like, spoiled little teenager. But, like, they keep hitting that same note. Like, it's not differentiated enough. Like I feel like when we met him when he was an adult, you know, he was just kind of this tree that wasn't like super smart, but like Rocket could understand him.
That is Groot.
That is Groot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is Groot.
Yeah, he is Groot.
Really, we're all Groot. Continuing in the vein of Warner Brothers stories, if you're a House of the Dragon fan, well, you're going to be waiting a while to get some more of that House of the Dragon.
Oh my God.
It's not going to return until 2024.
I am so bummed by this news because in spite of everything, I really enjoy House of the Dragon.
In spite of everything.
I have mixed feelings about Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. Like, you know, we've talked about this at length. Like, how a Game of Thrones is like somebody came up with this and it's just perfect to go back to every time. It's the picture of the horse, all the seasons. Like, the beginning part is like super realistic and looks really great, and the end part looks like a 5-year-old drew it. So that's what Game of Thrones is, and it's just like it feels like by the end, oh, here's something else fantastical. Eat it up, suckers. And like they're just throwing more things at us to like shock us and terrify us and everything. And I feel like House of the Dragon is a little bit like that too. I feel like they've held it back a little bit. But there are some things that have made me angry. Like, the one thing that really still pissed me off about House of the Dragon was when Sir Christian like beat that character to death, who the gay guy, and I was just like,
he had a name.
I can't remember his name.
I don't remember it either.
But
there's a lot of gay guys in that show.
There are, but like I was really pissed about that because it's like you just killed a gay character and like you like just like shockingly killed him.
Yeah.
I was really upset about that. But I like the show.
Other than that, how was the play, Mrs. Lincoln?
Yeah, I know.
Mrs. Baratheon. So I've come around a little bit on Christian.
Really?
Christian Cole.
I do not like him.
Because I get what they're doing. But if Game of Thrones had never existed and House of the Dragon had come first, I would have more patience for them. Because
That's
ostensibly, Game of Thrones has always been a depiction of a violent, chauvinistic, homophobic world, but a criticism on one. But like, hold the criticism.
Right.
Because generally, you know, female and gay characters are there to be brutally murdered.
Yeah,
by
and
a
terrorized.
Straight male character, and then either the straight male character is like, pretty great, we learned nothing, or it becomes rehabilitated and they're supposed to like root for the straight male character.
I know. It's a hateful world.
Right. And so I think that, you know, we don't have to recount how chaotic and unfocused the production of Game of Thrones was. I think that the production of this show is way more focused.
I agree.
But they're doing a trick that we've already seen. And so it's like, I've seen that. Do you know what I mean? But having him be like the paragon of
the Queen, Alicent.
I'll say it. The paragon of virtue and being this guy who's like, my white cloak, you know, of purity, and then have him like get, you know, rejected by her and turned into a complete raging incel like murderer guy. I think that's like, yeah, art should reflect reality.
I mean,
I get where they're going with the character.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that his head's going to get popped off by somebody, you know, a little way down the line. But they did that with just no... Game of Thrones would do things like that with no indication that the character was good or bad. It's a completely morally blank universe.
Yeah.
And so I still have like, it's like I've been abused by Game of Thrones.
Right.
And so I have like this reaction to this show that sets up these characters that are supposed to say something.
Yes.
This is, sure, Arya wanted to sort of fight, and they didn't want her to do that. Sansa's going to become the ruler in the North. The Starks have never had a woman on the throne. Will they trust her? Those things were there, but they were just like the effects of all the other characters being dead at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like this show is centered around the idea of you have a king who basically sacrifices his wife's life to get a male heir, and then has only a female heir left, and that female heir is rejected by the kingdom. She has a friend who also is trying to work her way through the halls of power but survive because she's a woman as well. They are the center of the series and not just like fun characters.
That's true. That's absolutely true. But I don't think that Sir Christian was rejected by Rhaenyra. I mean, she didn't want to do...
Yeah, he was.
Well, he wanted her to run away with him, and she's like, I'm the freaking heir to the throne. I'm not going to do that.
Right.
But she was open to continuing to have a relationship with him.
Which obviously was...
But
yeah. And which
he did not.
And she's a human being, and it was also her not reading the boat very well. Like,
that's
clearly
true.
He was not going to be okay with that.
No.
But he also was like, he's just this, like, he's this nice guy, a prototypical nice guy, who, when he doesn't get what he wants, is like suddenly like...
Well, that's true. I do think that commentary is there.
So it's like, I hate him, but I think that he's a good character, to put in this world.
Yeah, and I do think that there are a lot of really good characters in this. But yeah, oh man, and that ending, I that's why I'm like, I cannot wait till 2024. I can't. So I'm gonna be tearing my hair out, waiting for Hot D to come back.
Well, how about this? James Gunn has only been on the job for a couple of days, but they've already greenlit, so to speak, a reinvention of their Green Lantern TV series that's been in the works for a while.
Okay.
It will now focus on Jon Stewart.
I like that.
Previously, it had been open as to who it was going to focus on. I think they were looking at a lot of the historical Green Lanterns, maybe a combination of all of them. But it will now be reworked to focus specifically on him.
I think that's smart. Is this animated?
No, live action.
Oh, it's live action.
It's a
fantastic
Berlanti-verse show.
Oh, and it's going to be on HBO?
Yeah.
So is it going to be CW like? Because it's Berlanti?
I
have no idea. Okay. Well, I do think this is a great idea. I love Jon Stewart as a character. I think he's a very interesting Green Lantern, and I think it's smart to choose a Green Lantern who's not white.
They had a Green Lantern that was gay, but they got rid of that. Well, they had already cast Guy
Maybe
Gardner.
they could feature the who is the gay Green Lantern? I don't know.
Alan Scott.
Okay, well, maybe they could feature him, too. Maybe they could have more than one Green Lantern.
They had already cast Guy Gardner and Alan Scott and have let them go.
Oh, you're kidding me.
This is top to bottom.
Oh, that's kind of chaotic.
Well, here's some good news. Seth Grahame-Smith was the showrunner, and he's gone now.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah. Bullet dodge.
I am not a fan of his. You know this. Pride and Prejudice and Zombies is crap. So I'm glad.
Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. I think you're giving him short shrift here.
That is a horrible movie.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
terrible.
if you want to make fun of it, fine, but like it is awful and the CGI is freaking terrible.
How do you feel about The Staircase?
Honestly, I don't really have an opinion about it, except that like I know that your sister has watched it and likes it. That's all I know.
Find out if she likes it, because the showrunner of The Staircase will now be running the Arkham Asylum HBO Max series that's in development.
What?
Antonio Campos.
Oh, okay.
So the Riddler's going to push the Penguin down the stairs? No, the other way around. The bird. The bird did it.
They're just...
No, there's literally an owl.
Yeah.
The owls did it.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
You have to know a lot of different things to think.
Yeah, that's wow. I mean, they're just very different properties, so it's hard for me to like.
So this is
make the connection.
If you listen to Matt Reeves, and he's always talking, his wife's like, somebody in the house. Oh, Matt Reeves is talking to a wall. Got his sleeve garters and his old-timey barber thing on.
Right.
So this is the Gotham PD series that had initially been called for, along with the Penguin series, right?
Yeah.
So we've got Penguin, Colin Farrell playing a Penguin, a Penguin series, and a Gotham PD series.
Right.
And somebody went, well, aren't those going to be kind of the same thing? So they reworked this somehow into an Arkham Asylum series that will, show the origin or development of Arkham Asylum.
Okay. I'm intrigued with a caveat. I don't feel like Arkham Asylum has always been treated sensitively, and I am a little concerned as how they're going to approach that.
I don't think you're going to get that here.
Yeah, something tells me I'm not. And I don't, one thing I don't like about,
but then again,
look, I love Batman. I love Batman.
Right, but right. Okay, but Batman, arguably himself, is suffering from mental illness. He beats up people who are suffering from mental illness.
Yes.
They are depicted as violent maniacs.
Yeah.
And every single one of them, whatever they've got, unless it's literally just, he's a homicidal maniac. Like Mr. Zsasz is a homicidal maniac.
Okay.
All of those people who have those conditions are more likely to be the victims of violence than to commit violence.
I know.
So I think we talked about this last week. Every week when we talk about how all the holes in Batman on this show, if you accept that a cuckoo person who's obsessed with...
Don't say cuckoo person. That is so ableist.
There's a cuckoo man. There's a cuckoo man in his rogues gallery. If you've got a mentally ill person who just loves birthdays and I don't know, St. Patrick's Day, and you accept that they're a bad guy, then you have to accept that Batman's going to punch that person in the face, and because they are a property,
I know there are a lot of hats to accept.
They're going to go
I
through the revolving
that.
door to Arkham Asylum, where they will wait until the 12 henchmen that they've got break them out, and give them a party hat, and we start all over again.
I know. One thing that I hate about the Batman mythos is that Arkham Asylum is like an asylum for people who have mental illness and a prison. That is just a ridiculous and horrible combination. And I know that there are a lot of people who are in prison who suffer from mental illness.
Okay, so this is something for Vice to do, right?
Okay.
We go to the real Arkham Asylum. There's got to be like a heavy security psychological hospital for people who are violent criminals.
Okay.
Who also, and we won't say this out loud, but we don't expect these people to really get out. Do you know what I mean? They just seem like they're kind of incurable. Check on that, Vice, or don't. Stop doing anything, Vice. You're terrible. But this comes from, so people talk about how Batman and the world of Gotham is gothic.
True.
But really, that's all based in the gothic storytelling of the 1930s when Batman was created.
Yeah.
And the idea of, even in the 1930s, this was a little old, but the idea of a dank place where we would lock people who are just never ever going to get out of there because they are incurably insane.
Yeah.
That whole idea is anathema to psychiatric care in
I know.
In this, in the last half of the last century, but in this century, in this millennium.
Well, and that's how a lot of mentally ill people were treated. They were just locked up and never really treated and taken care of.
Grant Morrison, I don't know, somebody taking on that idea in Batman and trying to update it to...
I would love that.
Or is Batman everybody's favorite superhero? Superman sucks. Batman's awesome. Is Batman just an archaic concept that if we choose to keep liking, appreciating, and making things about, we are choosing to be regressive?
That is a fantastic question.
Thank you.
I mean,
That's enough trope.
I think that there are a lot of things in Batman that we just accept, and if we actually sat and thought about it, are not great. He's a billionaire. I mean, yeah, I know he's a philanthropist, and he gives a lot of money to donate. He donates a lot of money.
And ICUs for
the
people that he puts there.
Right. But he's still the head of a corporation. And you and I have talked about this. It's why are we glorifying this?
We ignore it.
We do ignore it. You're absolutely right. And maybe like the only way to enjoy Batman
maybe it's the pandemic. Maybe it's the HBO failed Operation Popcorn or whatever. But I still think that The Batman, the film, is underappreciated.
Oh, God, yes. I love that movie.
And I think that it has all the problems that we just talked about. But I think that it does its level best to update all of those tropes. In fact, I think the most regressive things in The Batman are the things they're taking from the Jeff Johns stories of the last decade or whatever. Because it basically just goes, yeah, he's rich. And then we don't talk about anything about the fact that... And the closest that we get to exploring that is there's a progressive mayoral candidate who's saying like, hey, you should help us out more. You know, you've donated in the past, you know, help us out with this. But otherwise it just says, forget about it. He's got a lot of money. Don't worry about it. He lives in a cave in a subway. And as far as like his, you know, fighting people who are mentally ill, we definitely go a lot deeper than just...
That's true.
The Joker being like, wow, I'm just crazy and I got these scars and don't worry about it. You know, they tried to don't worry about that with Heath Ledger.
Yeah, they did.
So, and they're also making it like topical because he's got like a bunch of like guys online who, hey, what's up guys? Thanks for the follows.
I thought that was a really
Thanks
nice
for
touch.
the tips about detonators.
Oh my gosh.
Give to my coffee. So like, I think that, you know, the series is moving forward, but it's still, you know, basically just a guy in a Dracula suit beating up people who have no shot at ever getting better.
It's kind of inherently problematic, isn't it? When we sit and we think about it, even though
Superman doesn't have that problem.
No, he doesn't.
Superman's fighting cyborg robots from outer
space.
Superman
is a Boy Scout.
Superman's fighting imp from the fifth dimension.
Yeah, I love Superman too, but Batman's one of my favorite superheroes, and you
like violent.
I know. You sit and you like look at him and everything that's going on. I know. What is wrong with me?
I don't know.
I don't actually like that when I sit and think about it.
What is wrong with you? Hey, what's wrong with Doctor Who? Knock, knock. What's wrong with Doctor Who?
I don't know, but I got a rant for you.
It's basically owned by Disney now. Disney has
Sorry, I took a sip at the wrong time. Why?
Disney has bought the international broadcasting rights for Doctor Who.
So that means that Doctor Who is going to be on Disney Plus now?
Doctor Who will be on Disney Plus everywhere except for the United Kingdom and Ireland.
Oh my God.
And you'd think, okay, that's fine. That's just going to be, you know, them distributing the show.
It. Right.
But Disney does not do anything like that.
They don't do anything half-ass.
No.
They take over.
And they also don't work for anybody else. So according to The Telegraph, which is a British newspaper, this is not just a distribution deal, that Disney will be going into their own pocket for this and be helping on financing. Now, isn't this like, didn't Sony just buy like part or all of Bad Wolf? So how does this work? I thought so. Now you've got Sony and Disney working on the same thing.
I don't understand how this is going to work.
Yeah, so and we don't know. Nobody's really said anything, although Russell T Davies, who is taking over as the showrunner again, has said specifically, he said last year in a radio interview that like franchising is the thing now, right? And he wasn't like bragging, but he was pointing out that like he kind of started that or was like a big part of that in the mid-aughts. Like they brought this thing back. Yeah. And then they had Torchwood and they had Sarah Jane Adventures
that's
and
true.
K9 and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like, it seems like that's a good idea. We should do that again. Well, now, you know, the bill for distribution is being picked up by Disney. And so people think that Disney money is going to make its way in there. And expect Grogu to show up on Doctor Who.
Here's a couple of things. Like, I'm worried that they're going to sanitize Doctor Who. But at the same time, Doctor Who has always been, like, G or PG. So it's not like it's, like, a rated R material that they're like, oh, we're going to Disney-fy it.
He's been pretty kissy in the last decade or so. You can't spell TARDIS without STD.
Oh, my gosh. I mean, honestly, I would not be upset if that part of Doctor Who went away, because I personally don't think it's necessary. And like sometimes it's a little like eye rolly, like why are we doing this?
Well,
but
I would be sad if it went away or was completely gone.
Oh yes, because of the new Doctor.
Yes.
How do you say his name again? I'm terrible at saying his name.
Are you ready for some letters? We have an LGBTQPOC.
Yes, I know. And I'm very excited.
If the Doctor suddenly got super chaste all of a sudden, it would be like...
Really? Okay, that is completely fair.
Really?
Yeah.
It might have been a huge leap for the Doctor to consummate her relationship with Yaz or whatever.
Yeah.
But, at this point...
Oh, I just had a horrible thought, though, because Disney is not really great at dealing with LGBTQ stuff.
Why is the Doctor blurry in the background of her own show?
Yeah.
Kissing somebody for 2 seconds.
Yeah, right. Like, because, like, they own part of Hulu, right? Doesn't Disney own part of Hulu?
Yeah, everybody. I own part of Hulu.
And what is... Oh, gosh. I am... terrible. Was it Love, Victor, the TV show?
Yeah.
Like, it was gonna be, wasn't it gonna be distributed on Disney Plus as well, and then they or on Disney Plus, and then they moved it to Hulu because they were like, oh, this is
a PG show.
I know.
Which is
where guys kiss.
Well, it's chastely. It's more chaste than your average episode of Riverdale. Yeah.
Which I remember being really pissed about that. So I'm worried about it.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I don't know if everybody likes Star Wars, including gay people. But there are a lot of people who like Star Wars, so we're willing to not court gay people necessarily. You know who likes Doctor Who?
Who?
Everybody.
That's true.
But especially people who are gay, people who are trans, people who are queer.
Yeah, because he can be an allegory for people who are trans or non-binary.
I'm gonna get a gif of somebody going, but that I'll just do it until I get the gif. Yeah, he can be an allegory, I guess, but also maybe it's because he or she or they is an intergalactic person who is there to tell the bullies what they can do with themselves.
Absolutely.
And those bullies are often metaphors for other things.
Yes.
Not to mention the fact that he specifically was revived by a gay creator who makes gay things.
Russell T Davies, yeah.
And introduced a lot of that to the show. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to suddenly not do that anymore, I think that has stuck around. Less in the Smith and Capaldi sort of era, but that has been a part of the show.
Yeah.
Would Tom Baker, if Tom Baker had a gay companion... now I'm thinking about all the companions.
I'm not as familiar with the older Doctor, so I don't know. But
well, then none of my jokes would be funny.
Yeah,
I have a few picks though. I don't know. If Jamie McCrimmon tries to make out with him, whatever, would he be okay with that? Yeah, I'm sure, definitely.
Probably.
You would never think that wouldn't be a thing.
Yeah,
but it's explicit now.
Yeah,
and so that's never going to go away. And having Ncuti be the new Doctor is like, come on, Disney can't pump the brakes now.
I really don't want them to take that away because I think I agree with you, that would be a travesty. Here's something that I'm kind of pissed about. I want to know your opinion on it. So I've told you this, that Tennant is doing a special, and
you told me this.
I did.
The internet knows about it.
Yeah, but Jodie Whittaker's Doctor transforms into Tennant.
Regenerates.
She's
a big
Sorry.
fan.
Shut up.
She's a big fan.
I am. She regenerates into Tennant.
Yeah.
You go on Wikipedia. Tennant is listed as the 10th Doctor.
The 14th.
And the 14th Doctor.
Yeah.
What the actual F?
It doesn't matter anymore.
But the War Doctor isn't on there. I can count a lot of doctors that aren't on there. Why is he officially on there? I feel like
I'm gonna turn you down a little bit.
Fine. I feel like Ncuti is getting a raw deal here.
He's the 15th Doctor.
I know that, but why does Tennant get to be 2 different numbers?
Because he's David Tennant.
Oh my god.
Anyway,
oh my god.
So we'll definitely not have a review of Doctor Who when it comes out in the future.
I would like to see it. I want to see Ncuti as the Doctor.
One more story, and this is MCU related. It was announced a few weeks ago, but we haven't talked about it yet, that Hugh Jackman will be returning as Wolverine in Deadpool 3.
Yeah.
Wow. Logan stayed dead for like 5 years, tops.
Okay.
5, 6, whatever.
Well, he's freaking Wolverine. He can regenerate himself, right? So they'll come up with something that like some weird sci-fi thing that like he's back from the dead. You know, weird comic book thing.
A Tale of Two Cities. Am I going to ruin A Tale of Two Cities? A Tale of Two Cities at the end.
Yeah.
Sidney Carton goes to the guillotine in place of Charles Darnay. Mm-hmm. Whew, it's all worth it. That's all I got out of high school lit. It is a far better thing he does. Mm-hmm. Right? It's a far better resting place he goes to.
Yeah.
A Tale of Three Cities. Bang! His head bounces off and then goes back on his head. He's like, oh no, but it's backwards now. Where'd my head go? Oh, and they run off and they have adventures in revolutionary France.
This sounds awful.
Didn't we put this character to bed definitively?
I know.
A man who was in 4 terrible movies.
Logan was awesome.
Finally had a good movie.
Yeah,
and people are like, don't touch it, don't.
I know.
Okay, good, we got it.
I know.
Now he'll be in a bad, unfunny Deadpool movie because they're out of gas, right? Like the first one, good.
The first one was good. I liked it. Yeah.
I mean, it's like his brand of humor is, it's whatever. Your mileage may vary, but I've talked about how like that movie is immaculately structured for its very tangled narrative.
Yeah.
And it is a breath of fresh air in the middle of the MCU when everybody's like fighting space gods and doing all this horrible stuff and getting their eyes cut out.
Yeah.
It's just like a fun thing. Second movie, clearly they had no idea what to do with a second movie.
Yeah.
And they're kind of honest about that, like in the movie, but it doesn't make it like a good movie.
Yeah.
And so what happens? They take a gruff character from the MCU and have him Deadpool bounce off of him, and we just kind of do something with that.
Yeah.
Wolverine 3? Take a gruff character from the MCU who has
I
a
don't
relationship.
remember Wolverine 3 that well. What happens
Or not
in
Wolverine
it?
3, Deadpool 3.
Oh, Deadpool 3. Yeah.
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 Logan is the Cable. He even has a connection to a young girl with powers.
Yeah, that's true.
So what
do you think she'll be in it?
No, she's in the she's doing other stuff.
Yeah,
What's she doing?
I know. Golden Compass, right?
Yeah, his Dark Materials.
Yeah, his Dark Materials.
I hope she is. But like,
I hope she is too. She's good.
Their story's done. His story's done. Mm-hmm. Plus, it also means doing this, they can do whatever they want, but they don't often. This puts off casting, and we've all been talking about who's going to be the new Wolverine.
True.
X-Men are coming to MCU. Who's going to be the new Wolverine? The old Wolverine is going to be the new Wolverine. It's very disappointing. It's very regressive, and I'm if I cared about Marvel movies anymore, which I don't, I'd be mad about it.
Well, is this kind of on the similar level as Tennant coming back as the Doctor?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Let's move forward. Yes. Why are we going backwards?
Making 30-year-old comics like the Infinity Gauntlet saga into billion-dollar movies that are better than they have any right to be.
Yeah.
That's a good application of regressive nostalgia.
Yeah. Right.
Rebooting over and over again, telling the same goddamn stories over and over again, and literally getting the old ass actors to continue to play.
I don't want to go. He doesn't want to say goodbye.
It's not a very good Jon Snow.
No, Tennant.
That's the worst part of this. That's bringing Henry Cavill back to play Superman again.
I know.
It's like he had his shot. People didn't like his movies, even though they weirdly continue to like him. We started with Henry Cavill, we're ending with Henry Cavill. That's just so right.
Short-sighted.
Yeah, I'd like to know if this was James Gunn's choice to bring Cavill back, or if somebody made that choice. It was like the last act of the guy, Walter Hamada, or whoever's on his way out, and then James Gunn's like, change it around, do something else. Mm-hmm. Let's do the death of Superman. Oh, we already did that. Let's do the thing where a cooler Superman replaces the old Superman.
Well, and then like Henry Cavill is like, I'm excited to be like a happy Superman. I'm like,
oh yeah, when's that going to happen?
Yeah, I'm very confused by that. Like, I do not like the interpretation of Superman that I've seen with Cavill. He's awful. He terrorizes this entire city. You never know how many people
flying around.
Well, you don't know how many people they kill or injure while they're having their huge fight. Why don't they have a huge fight like out in the middle of nowhere?
Goku would.
Goku would what? Have a fight in the middle of nowhere?
The first thing Goku does is like, oh boy, this robot wants to kill me. Hey,
I'm gonna fly over here.
Well, I bet you can't kill me in an unpopulated desert. And they fly over
there. Right.
Yeah.
Do that.
Right.
It's just, and then he beats the guy within an inch of his life. I'm like, that is a Batman move. That is not a Superman move.
I don't know where she's going.
He's not my Superman. I don't like that interpretation. The Zack Snyder interpretation.
Okay, so here's the progression. Start of the show.
Yeah.
People on the internet get too serious about things. We end up with Mika being like, hashtag not my Superman.
I said it.
Yeah.
I said it.
Yeah.
I
hope that
it's too dark.
I hope that Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special teaches us the real meaning of Christmas.
Yeah, me
and
too.
Peter Quill has everyone, we all kneel down and pray to the real space god.
Kevin
Jesus.
Bacon. Oh, okay.
We'll work on our bits and be back next week for another episode of the Just Enough Trope News Show. Thanks for joining us and for chatting along. I wanted to point out real quickly that somebody did say in chat that they want an animated series. Think about
what?
Doctor Who animated series.
I think that could work. I think it could be a lot of fun. I mean, you would be able to
get Richard E. Grant back in here.
Sure. I mean, get what's his name? Paul
McGann.
McGann, yeah.
Yeah. Paul McGann has done his share of audio plays.
I know he has, but so his voice warmed up, ready to go as the Doctor. I think you could do a lot with that. You could bring a lot of people in to play the Doctor at various times, and it could jump around a whole lot. And you wouldn't have to worry about like CGI effects. You could do anything. You wouldn't be limited to, what you're capable of doing with CGI.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that could totally work.
Yeah. Or it could just be a relentless string of references to earlier Doctor Who stories.
Let's not do that.
No?
No. I don't want to do a lower
Dr. Dex.
I don't want to do a lower Dex Doctor Who.
All right, that's a vote against Dr. Dex. But let us know what you'd like to see in the future as far as Doctor Who goes or any of the stories that we talked about tonight. I want to thank you for joining us. We'll be back next Sunday at 6 p.m. Central to do it all one more time.
Yes.
So hopefully Twitter, something will happen there. Hopefully the world itself won't disintegrate before then. Please subscribe to us here on Twitch because it really does help us out, gets our number count up, and you get notified as soon as we're ready to go live and get broadcasting. If you are a Star Trek fan, notice we didn't talk about Star Trek tonight. You're welcome. But if you're a Star Trek fan, join us at 8 p.m. on Thursday nights, where we talk about the new episode of Star Trek. Star Trek Prodigy has begun once more, and we're talking about Star Trek Prodigy. So join my co-host Ella and I to talk about Star Trek Prodigy every Thursday night at 8 p.m. What else? Check out all of the shows on the Just Enough Trope Network at justenough.trope.com. And we have a link tree, and it is linktr.ee/Just Enough Trope.
Mm-hmm.
That can get you to all of the properties, all of our social media, all the places that you could find us. I think that's it.
Well, don't forget to plug Laser Lunch Hour.
I've plugged every... Oh, yes. Yes. Every 12 o'clock p.m.
Yes.
Central.
Correct.
I play video games. And my doctor told me that I had to. So if you want to see me take my daily dose of video games, you can. Right here at 12 p.m. Central every weekday. The Laser Lunch Hour is what it's called. And we're not even doing lasers. We're doing The Witcher right now. Witcher 3. So if you want to join us and chat about nerdy stuff while I play video games, do that. That's it. We're going to sign off until next week. I keep thinking that I keep giving you a chance to tell me there's something else that I've missed.
I don't think there's something else that you've missed. I think you've covered everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Got it. So we're signing off. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, I'm your host, Caliban.
I'm your co-host, Mikan Hana.
Keep the geek fires burning.